Hello, hello. It's me, Jason Louv, your favorite Baby Yoda lookalike. And guess what? I have a very, very special announcement for you. The Magick.me megacourse, which I have been hinting at for a long, long time now, is happening now. It is coming out now, Black Friday. This is the most extensive, most massive, most in-depth training program in spirituality, both Eastern and Western, that I have ever created. If you've been impressed by the courses at Magick.me, by the podcasts, by the books that I've done, this is light years beyond that. It's an in-depth training program in magic and mysticism designed to give you absolute mastery over your life. Specifically, the entire point of this course is to empower you and free you. It's a course all about freedom. In this course, I'm going to leverage the greatest spiritual tools available to humanity to liberate, empower, and awaken you to your innate freedom and your true purpose in life. And this course is going to provision you with the tools you need to fulfill that purpose. And not 20 years in the future, but now. Okay, here's the big idea with this course, right? We have thousands of years of profound spiritual teaching, the best techniques of yoga, of Eastern traditions like Taoism and Buddhism, of Western traditions like ceremonial Hermeticism and Kabbalah. All of these things, these are the profound wisdom traditions of humanity. They're like arcs that are passed down from generation to generation that combine all of the most important information that human beings need to live free and happy and empowered and good lives. Lives in which they are leaders, not followers. Lives in which they are empowered to take full control of their existences and make something good from this fairly chaotic and random world. That's the whole point of spirituality. It's to free oneself not by escaping the world, but by disciplining oneself to become better than all of the struggles of the world, to become stronger than the challenges the world throws at you. Now, that's great. This is, in many ways, undertaking the spiritual path of full individuation, of becoming the person that you know you are meant to be, of discovering your true purpose in life and then fulfilling it. This is the point of being human. It's what we're here to do, right? And we often need guidance and techniques to fully unfold ourselves in that way, to fully become our true self. And that's what I'm going to be teaching you in this course. Now, there's a challenge with this, which is one we all face, and that is that we live in a culture that does not particularly support spiritual endeavor, right? It certainly doesn't support people, let's say, dropping out of society to meditate for long periods of time, or becoming renunciate monks as many other cultures do. We live in a very, very different culture than, say, ancient India or ancient Greece or pre-invasion Tibet or any of these places. We live, I'm guessing, if you're listening to this, most likely in the developed, hyper-capitalist first world. So if we're going to be talking about freeing ourselves spiritually, we must start with the material. I firmly believe that for most people who are not willing to just completely throw away the world, as some are, for most people, the very first step of spiritual liberation is sorting out their material life. That means things like career, relationships, and most importantly, money. Anyone who tells you that money is not spiritual has no idea what they're talking about, or simply has inherited their money, or has never had to worry about money, or has had to work. I am not in that position. You probably aren't either. And so the first step of this course is getting your real life solid. There's a real bias on both sides of this equation. I think that most people who are purely concerned with material, with economics, with the quote-unquote real world, often don't have a lot of time for spirituality. And people who are quote-unquote spiritual, who are, kind of free-floating individuals, let's say, often claim that they are above financial concerns when really they just don't understand them and they have no clue how to get their life together. So I'm just going to say this straight out for at least my way of thinking. If you draw a boundary between the spiritual and the material, you've just made a dualist error. They are part and parcel of the same thing. You can tell this easily by, if you look at anybody who has made a profound contribution to the world, even in the realm of business or even finance in many cases. Sir John Templeton is an excellent example. In many cases, if you look at the most successful in real world terms people, they often have a profound spiritual understanding. And that's not hyperbole. Often you'll find people saying that spirituality is the reason for their success and that they couldn't have done any of it without spiritual techniques. That includes not just financial people, but people who are at the very top of their field in any field. You will find this over and over and over again. So over the last couple decades of my career, I have been teaching people the best of the best techniques of Western and Eastern spirituality, and done, I think, a pretty good job of distilling what is most important from those systems and delivering it to people in a way that just works. That's not new age silliness, that's not woo, that's not dogmatic, that's just the core techniques to get people from point A to point B where they want to go as fast as possible. In working with people one-on-one a lot, I've also come to understand what people's real needs are. And this course is the result of all of that. So how are we going to go about this? This course is going to be about 6 weeks long. It's going to be taught through a series of live webinars. They're going to be frequent but short, and each one is going to be followed by assignments and work. The reason that they're going to be frequent and short is because you're busy, right? It's like, you're busy, I'm busy. Everyone now, to assume that there's anyone who doesn't have a completely jam-packed, packed to the gills schedule is naive. Everyone's busy now, right? So what does that mean? That means the teaching methods need to be updated to our current world. So there's going to be frequent, short sessions that you can integrate with even the busiest schedule, and that will add to your ability to focus on your daily responsibilities, in addition to adding the work of practical spiritual and material exercises that we're going to be doing. Those webinars are going to be recorded so that if you miss the live time, it's no problem. You can go catch up. You can watch them. You can watch them, as I always say, on a bathroom break at work. You can fit it in wherever you have that spare 5 minutes, that spare 10 minutes, or half an hour, that time that's idle, that time where you're commuting, maybe the time where you're washing the dishes. There's all these little pockets of free time in our day that can be put to the goal of liberation. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Now, since a lot of the prior teaching that I've been doing has been in the language of the Western esoteric tradition, specifically, I want to speak to that a little bit, because what I'm building here is really a master course, an in-depth training that I want anybody to be able to take regardless of cultural background, whether you're interested in the type of stuff that I've been teaching before and you have, let's say, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years of experience in some of these paths, or you have no experience whatsoever, you've never been exposed to any of this stuff, it's going to serve you just as well. I want this to be something that is for humanity, that anybody can take and understand, and it will absolutely supercharge their path in life. Now, I also want to speak a little bit to how it fits into what I've been teaching previously. So, the name of the course is the Adept Initiative, and this should give you kind of a clue of where I'm going with this. Prior to this course, the teaching that I've been doing on Magick.me has been largely information. I'm putting information out there, and I've left it up to the people that take those courses to put that information into practice in their own life and to synthesize, give them the synthesis of Eastern and Western techniques that I've given them, but it's been on you to put it into practice. Now, in this course, this is something else. This is a training program, a set curriculum. Step by step, I'm going to hold your hand every step of the way, and we're going to get there together. It's going to be an ordered and graded curriculum. So, If you've been my student for a while, maybe a couple of years, you've heard me talking about this mega course that I'm working on. And I have often pitched it as that I'm going to teach the Golden Dawn system. So many of you probably know the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn is, the quintessential magical training system and group of, the last several hundred years. It was a group that flourished in the late 19th century in England, and which has not only informed a lot of how I teach, but frankly has informed literally every single esoteric, certainly Western esoteric, teaching or system that has come afterwards. So I began to sit down and say, okay, if I'm going to teach the whole thing here, if I'm going to teach this whole system step by step, how am I going to do this? Because the tools are still important, the techniques are still important, but it's old. It's based on the kind of paramasonic social group structure of Victorian England. It's based on a lot of temple work. It's based on a lot of dress up, let's be honest, a lot of kind of Ren Fair type stuff. A lot of stuff that is just really not applicable to the modern world as much as it was at the time. And in addition to that, a lot of the research that the Golden Dawn did into things like, for instance, Egyptology and Kabbalah and Enochian, while it was cutting edge at the time, and the synthesis that the founders of that group put together was a phenomenal work of art, basically, still almost all of the research that went into that has been superseded academically. A lot of it has been proven simply just not to be fully accurate. So that leaves us in a kind of a conundrum. Of course, this is one of the reasons why chaos magic happened in the 70s, and the entire, let's say, chaos magic movement largely was predicated on the idea that all of the formalities of the Golden Dawn and of the systems that came after it, for instance, Dion Fortune's system and Crowley's system and related ones, Boda, Paul Foster Case, things like that, that all of the formalities of that could be dispensed with, particularly Kabbalah, Tarot, Enochian, all of that. That could all be thrown to the wayside. And that what was important was getting to the core of consciousness. Now, that's obviously really important, and that was a critically important movement. However, when I learned all this stuff, I was not personally intellectually satisfied with just the chaos magic approach of, just make it up. That's not really a totally fully accurate approach, because these systems, these spiritual systems, depend on thousands of years of human history. They were developed not by single individuals, but by generation after generation after generation of whole cultures. And to just simply throw that out, it leaves too much out. So in turning the wheel, as it were again, and representing these teachings for a new generation, I've done a lot of work on not just straddling those two things of the complexity and the linearity of the Golden Dawn system with the free-form approach of chaos magic, but also just bringing in a lot of new techniques from other cultures that we just know about now. For instance, more techniques from Tibetan Buddhism, more techniques from things like NLP and psychology. And we just know so much more about basically everything now than we did 100 years ago. And we live in a time where everyone has the internet, and you can't just make it up, because anybody can just go to Wikipedia and say, that's wrong, right? So there has to be a lot more rigor put into these things, and that's really, really good. I think also, frankly, these things need to be backed up by science. Magic is not scientific, quote unquote, but what is stopping people from looking at, actual neurological research, for instance, on meditation, a tremendous amount of which has now been done? What is stopping people from taking maybe even, let's say, an analytics-based approach to some of this stuff, which we're going to do in this course? As I've been saying, the method of data science, the aim of religion. We have so many more tools and access to information now, and we need to use all of them, because it behooves me certainly to give you the best possible assortment of tools, because what we're talking about here is your life. How fast can we empower you? How fast can we free you? So if you want to get really technical about this, what this course really is from, the old way of looking at it is mastery of Malkuth. Right? That's what we're doing in this course, right? Malkuth is the Kabbalistic term for Maya, for the quote-unquote material world. And what does that mean? It means that we are going to firmly situate you within your life. We are going to get clear about what the purpose of your life is. We're going to get clear about how you are going to make that happen. We're going to get clear about, for instance, cutting things off from your life that are not serving you anymore. Addictions, drama, dramatic relationships that have run their course, anything that is distracting and pulling you away from what you need to do with this very limited time that you have on this planet. We're not screwing around here, okay? I'm not just giving you flowery language. I'm not just going to teach you concepts. We're going to do it. That is the point of this course. You are going to have the experience, and you're going to make these changes in the course of this training. Real changes, lasting changes, potentially permanent changes. What else does it mean? It means we need to get you solid financially. Now, of course, I'm not a financial advisor, so you'll want to run by anything that we work up in this course with a professional financial advisor, and I'll show you how to find a good one. But we need to get a solid plan in place for your life so that, for instance, if you are employed right now, but you're not fully fulfilled in that job, that we have a roadmap for you to get to where you actually want to be, or to get into a situation of financial freedom where potentially that income is coming from somewhere else. That you're freed potentially, this may be possible, from the daily grind of work because your income is coming from other places. I'm not going to completely guarantee that because everyone is different, but it's possible. It can be done, right? We're going to talk about techniques on how to do that. If you don't have a job, if you're just struggling, if you're living paycheck to paycheck or even hand to mouth, we're going to sort that out. We're going to get you on the track to stabilizing your life with work or other income source that fulfills you so that your life is stabilized, right? Now, this is not a get-rich-quick class. These are real techniques that are going to require real work and real commitment on your part, right? And this is not about getting rich. What this is about is the first two rungs of yoga, right? What are the first two rungs of yoga? Yama and niyama, do's and don'ts. The entire codified path of yoga, which is really the path of spirituality as set down by, the Vedic sages for centuries, if not millennia, the first thing they say is you need to get your life stable. You need to get, for lack of a better way of putting this, you need to get the drama out of your life. And what does that mean? It means you need a stable life that is not marked by chaos, that is not marked by crisis, that is not marked by relationship drama. And the way you get there is by stabilizing your finances. That doesn't necessarily mean getting rich, although that may be your goal. This means something a little bit different for everybody. So we want to get you to a place of material economic liberation. And that's going to take work, just like everything else. But we're going to map out how to do that, and I'm going to provide you the techniques to start doing that. It's also about the concept of the true will. I'm guessing a lot of my listeners probably already have the fundamentals of life sorted out. You probably are making money. You may have a family. You probably have a lot of this already locked down, but you may not be fully fulfilled. You may not feel like you have time to yourself. You may, like many people, feel like you have, in a sense, submerged your, let's say, your true self, let's say your true desires, who you really wanted to be. You've submerged or sacrificed that in order to build a life that is considered successful by social standards. I don't even want to just say it's a common thing, but I think it's almost a necessary developmental stage. So in that case, what we want to start doing is aligning you with closer and closer to the true will, not by dramatic leap, but by a sustainable process that is not going to, traumatically rock the boat. We want to start moving you in the direction of self-actualization. We want to start moving you in the direction of truly fulfilling with all of the skills you've already learned and all the experience you've already had and the person that you've built up till now. We want to work on aligning that with what you truly are meant to be doing. Now, that's something that I think everybody, not only could benefit from, but, myself included, it's like we all need to redo this some of us need to redo this type of thing almost every year because we live in such a fast-paced world now where the playing field changes so quickly. We need to adapt. We need to adapt and catch up. And by the way, things are not going to get any easier, particularly as automation hits, as AI hits. We're about to be hit by tidal wave after tidal wave after tidal wave of technological and social and political change. It's going to be very chaotic. And we already live in a society where there are no stable handholds, where nothing fully makes sense. That's going to increase. That's not going away. That's only going to increase. I have found in my life, and I do this because I'm offering this, that spirituality is the stable handhold, or rather, grasping on to the things that are eternally true about human life that were just as true 4,000 years ago as they are now. That is how one not only finds stability within change, but power, right? It's when one builds on that foundation, which is not subject to the changing quicksand of circumstance. That is how one builds a life that not only works, but a life of power. So, freedom and empowerment, right? That's what we're going to do here. In order to not only wake up from the chaos of day-to-day life and wake up from going with the flow, which is the most dangerous thing of all, which everyone around you is encouraging you to do, and wake up from the passing circumstances of existence, we need real working technique. And what I have concluded, and what we're going to do here, is combine the best techniques for spiritual and material liberation. And that includes financial, where it's everything. We're going to build a stable and powerful foundation for your life, for you to get to exactly where you want to go. So with the Adept Initiative, what I've done is I have put together the most powerful set of tools that I think is possible, that is available right now, for you to take absolute control of your life, for you to get to the next level in your life, even if that has been eluding you for years. And this is a real thing. I'm not just spinning marketing BS. I just had a student named Rob, who's a financial management executive, just wrote to me. He wrote this to me. I've practiced meditation since 2008, and my journey has taken me from solo meditation to studying Tibetan Buddhism with a Lama. Hands down, Jason's courses are the most powerful and succinct meditation/spiritual courses that I've ever taken, and they got me past a 6-year stuck point. I was really proud of that one. But I offer it not because it made me feel good, but because that's the kind of change that we're talking about here that's possible. This is somebody who manages millions and millions and millions of dollars. We're talking about real techniques that work in the real world for real people who are playing at the highest levels of power in society in many cases, and everyone in between. This stuff works. It works because I put a quarter of a century into developing it, right? And I've developed it out of the most lasting, enduring, important systems of wisdom and practical technique, the wisdom of how to live of all of human history across all human cultures, right? It's like I am presenting you with something that is eternal, that has lived long before me and will live long after me. In this moment, I present it to you in the language that we share in 2019. But end of the day, this stuff has worked for thousands of years and it will continue to work. It's the good stuff. It's time to be who you truly are. It's time to be free because the world, particularly now in this crisis point, demands nothing less, right? We don't have time for people to sit on their hands wondering what they should do, right? you learn what you need to do through practice, not by idly thinking about it. And by practicing real techniques like yoga, meditation, the techniques of focusing will, and all the stuff we're going to talk about in this course, the more free you are, and that includes financially free, the better off you are, the more able you are to help other people, right? This is not just about, some Tai Lopez thing about, acquiring wealth just for the sake of wealth or power just for the sake of power. I'm not interested in that, right? I wouldn't be teaching that if that was the point. This is a course about getting people who are spiritually focused and well-intentioned to start playing at the absolute highest level that they are capable of and beyond, because the world needs it. The better off you are, the more free you are, the more liberated you are from the constraints and shackles of the material world, the better able you are to help others. It's that simple. And that's true spirituality. Now, while we're going to be working on freeing ourselves from what in many cases are first world problems, but which are critically important for all the reasons that I've just mentioned, because this is a course about freedom, as we work on this, proceeds from the course are also going to be going to freeing people who are not capable of freeing themselves, right? So that means vulnerable children and adults who are literally in slavery, a practice which we kid ourselves and did, but frankly did not, right? Which is a real problem in our world, which is a problem throughout the entire planet, including supposedly sophisticated, affluent first world communities. According to a 2017 report by the United Nations International Labor Organization, over 40.3 million human beings are currently enslaved in the world. 24.9 million of those are in forced labor, and 15.4 million are in forced marriage. And of those, a total of 4.8 million are in situations of forced sexual exploitation, which means that for every 1,000 people in the world, there are 5.4 slaves. Shocking statistic. 1 in 4 of those slaves are children. 3 in 4 total are women. All in all, slavery, or human trafficking, as it's now called, is a $150 billion industry worldwide. This is just unacceptable, right? Like, how is this possible in the 21st century? I don't know. I can't begin to fathom how it's possible. However, what we can do is make a dent in it in whatever way that we can. So I'm going to be donating proceeds from this course, a sizable amount of proceeds from this course, to ending human trafficking, specifically to the Polaris Project, which is a very, very highly vetted 4 out of 4 charity. It's rated actually 98.04 out of 100 on Charity Navigator, which is America's largest evaluator of charities. This is a group that uses big data analytics and partners with law enforcement to identify, track, and shut down human trafficking networks and provide support, trauma counseling, and reintegration services for victims. They do really, really excellent work. And so I made a very clear decision that if this is a course about freedom, it's going to be for everybody, right? If you're listening to this podcast on a computer or a smartphone, slaves have worked for you. Obviously, I'm recording it on a computer and I have a smartphone. So it's something in our world, much like factory farming, which I think is not only completely evil and unnecessary, but which is also solvable. So if you look at Buddhism and some of these spiritual systems that I teach techniques from, they often have the real clear message of liberating and freeing other people, right? Of serving other people, particularly people who don't have a voice, who are not even seen by society, who most of society doesn't even care about. That is one of the core messages of all spiritual traditions, all religions. And I truly believe, just like I want to combine the best technologies for teaching spiritual technique, I also want to apply the best technologies, things like big data and all of this, to actually making measurable change on some of these really critical issues. So we're going to do that. So getting enrolled in the Adept Initiative is very simple, but you're going to have to act very quickly. The course starts the second week of January, and it's going to run for 6 weeks. So it'll run basically January 6th to February 13th. And again, it's not going to be a full-time course. It's going to be taught in short webinars that you can watch live or catch up on, that you'll be able to integrate into your life, that are not going to disrupt your schedule, and that will only increase your focus and your drive in handling your day-to-day duties. I certainly find that if I dedicate even an hour of even a half hour of meditation a day, it is not lost time. It carries over into my focus throughout the rest of the day, and I do excellent work. And that was the same even when I was working an office job. So it adds to your time. It also obviously is going to add to your finances. And my guarantee to you is if you sign up for this course and after watching the first 3 live webinar sessions, you are not completely convinced that if you put the material that is given to you in those units into practice, that this course will not pay for itself times 10, I'll give you 100% of your course fee back, right? That's it. You get your money back, right? Now, I can offer that because I have such absolute confidence in what I'm going to be presenting. Not only has this stuff worked for me tremendously, but frankly, nobody ever takes me up on that offer, on this or any of the other stuff that I teach. But particularly with this, when I teach this stuff, I give people the same offer. Nobody ever takes me up on it because they're absolutely blown away with the information that I give them. I'm going to give you profound information on attaining material freedom. And that's just the first 3 units. I mean, just imagine what the entire 6 weeks is going to be like. Treasure chest is the best way to put this. Now, I've arranged for several different packages, different ways to invest in the course, lots of different ways that will work depending on your life situation. So I've put a lot of flexibility in there, because I want everyone to be able to take it. All of those options are listed on the site. The investment in this course, in all cases, no matter what option you choose, if you do even half as well as the people that I privately tested the material in this program with, this will be the best investment you have ever made. Sound good? Oh, one other thing. The course opens for registration on Black Friday. And because it's Black Friday, the holiest of American days, that means there will also be a substantial discount on the course. The discount will be offered only within the first 24 hours. And I want to point out also that there are limited seats on this course. So I don't know what's going to happen on Black Friday, but it's very possible that the entire course may sell out on Black Friday, which would kind of be goofy for me because then they would have all sold at discounted rates, but we will see. We'll see what happens, right? So if you're willing to make the plunge, if you're willing to say yes, if you're willing to make that commitment to yourself to break through the things that have been holding you back probably for years and in some cases, possibly your whole life. Certainly that's been the case for me when I've applied these techniques to myself. You need to hop on that deal right away. So Friday, Black Friday. So the deal will start exactly midnight on Black Friday. You'll be able to buy it right then at the discount. You'll also be able to gift it for other people if you would like. I would hop on it as fast as possible just to make sure that you claim a seat. Again, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if the entire course is going to sell out the first day or not. We'll see what happens, but jump on it to make sure that you have your spot. And then you're locked in at the super discounted rate. And then you have until after New Year's to relax and start thinking about the most important changes you want to make in your life, the things you want to let go of, the things you want to change, the things you want to create, the person you want to start becoming, because we're going to hit the ground running January 6th. All right, I'm super excited. This has been long in the works. This is in many cases my life's work. This is a completely new level for Magick.me, and it is going to blow away everything that's come before. So I'm very excited. So that's that. To tie off an open loop, as I've mentioned, I believe on the last podcast and many times before, the prices on the existing Magick.me subscriptions are going up. The previous subscriptions do not cover the mega course because this is a completely different thing with limited seating, and I need a completely committed student group, and it's a light years of magnitude beyond what is currently on offer with the Magick.me subscription packages. So those existing subscription packages, which cover all of the courses that are on the site now, the training systems, which are all excellent, including the new Buddhism course, which just came out, the prices on those are going up as well. And there's going to be a new subscription package that incorporates future mega courses. That pricing structure I will release also Black Friday. But if you want the current rates, get them before Friday, because then they are absolutely going away. Everyone who is subscribed at the current levels or who subscribes before Friday will be grandfathered in at those rates forever as long as they stay subscribed. So I'm not going to raise the price on you. So if you want to lock in the absolute best price on existing Magick.me, now's the time. It's your absolute last chance. And then you won't have to hear me talking about this anymore because that will just be done. Obviously, the lifetime package is so good of a deal that I'm going to get rid of it completely. So you have until basically the end of Thursday to grab those things if you want them. And if you currently are a subscriber, definitely stay subscribed because the prices will not raise for you. All right. You can find the mega course and all other offerings at magick.me, magick.me. That's magick.me. It will be prominently displayed on the site ahead of time with a countdown. If you want to go directly to the megacourse site, it is magick.me/p/adept, ADEPT, but it'll be clearly marked enough if you go to magick.me. So it goes on sale Friday, midnight, Pacific Standard Time, and the sale ends either when all the seats are claimed or end of day, Black Friday. So 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, the sale ends. So there's your golden ticket to the promised land, if you are willing to grab it. Because otherwise, it'll just be gone. All right, lots of love. I hope you have an excellent holiday season, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, Life Day, Yule, winter equinox, whatever you celebrate. And I will see you in the brand new mega course. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.